Are you a business owner who's lost all your hair like I have because you pulled it all out? Let's talk about it. Hey everybody, Ben here from JobNimbus with the Building Business channel, and we've got our COO, Aaron, with me today. Aaron and I work closely together at JobNimbus, and we've seen literally thousands of construction businesses now working with us and met a lot of different owners. And one thing that we've seen a lot is a lot of owners being frustrated. Why are they so frustrated? What common things do you hear?
Well, a lot of what we see is they've built a business to a point. Now they're struggling with growth, they're struggling with profitability, they're struggling with cash flow, their books are a mess, so their accounting's not there. They're having a lot of these kind of underlying issues come in.
And there's actually a reason for this that you can solve, and it's through this thing called the Visionary Integrator Framework. So we want to talk a little bit about that. What is a typical visionary? What would you look for to see if you were a visionary?
Most visionaries, I'd say, are very, they're sales oriented, they're big picture, they have big dreams, big goals, they have these big aspirations. They often get really bored over time. I mean, I used to work with one and he would just go, kept starting up new businesses, but they just became oppressive to him because he couldn't get the logistics of them to run.
Don't bother me with the details, just go freaking get it done, right? That's
I sold it.
Yeah.
It's already sold. Why can't you guys keep up with me?
Yep.
I'm going so fast, you guys can't keep up.
So if you're hearing any of those things like, oh yeah, I kind of am like that, you might be a visionary. And that's a great thing to be. They're actually very rare. If you just look at the overall population, there's not very many visionaries out there. The problem is, what are the weaknesses of a visionary?
The weaknesses of the visionary is they don't appreciate the execution, what it takes. Essentially, it's the visionaries are the hunters. They go kill the animal. Cool, that doesn't make a good steak. So then you have to have someone prepare it, take it down, do all this other stuff to make it so it's actually eatable. And that's where the visionaries will be like, I killed the animal. Yes, but there's still a bunch of steps, right?
Yeah.
And that's what we see in a lot of the construction spaces. Hey, I went and sold the job. Yeah, but now we have to go talk to the customer. We have to work through all these little details. We have to go get the thing done. We have to go get it built. They just get really frustrated with all that little, what they consider kind of minutia, because they've done the big picture thing, which was selling the job.
So sometimes if you hear the word system or process and it gives you chills up your spine, you're probably a visionary, because that sounds like slowing me down, getting me not where I want to be as fast. It's like go as visionaries, right?
Yep. They want to go as fast as fast as possible. As soon as they sell, they're on to the next one. As soon as they think they've got it figured out, they're on to the next thing.
And a lot of things break along the way with that.
Yep. There's always those little details. So it's just like if you thought about like a hunter who just kept killing animals and you're like, there's a lot of dead animals, but none of it's eatable.
Yeah, but nobody got a steak out of it.
Yep.
Yep. Okay, so got some weaknesses there. There's some really special strengths that you have too. How can you focus more on your strengths while working around those weaknesses? What does the integrator do for you there?
Well, so the integrator is really the person who's establishing order. In the construction space, a lot of times we see that as a person in the office. It's usually, sometimes we'll see this really aggressive guy who's kind of the visionary, and then his wife who loves order, she's taking care of it, or they'll have a person in the office who will also be keeping the order. So they're the ones talking with the sales guys. We didn't figure out that color of thing that we needed. We didn't figure out these small details. They're the ones sweating all the details. That the card didn't get charged, the card bounced, all that stuff. That's the person who's concerned about order. That's the integrator. They want to have a process when something comes in. They want to be able to see it move through, control it, and then see it on the way out. And they go, yeah, that's what they like. They like process, they like consistency, and the visionary hates all that stuff. So You need to find this. If you find a good partnership, which we've seen in a number of our firms, they have this one person who's out there pushing the envelope, building the business, finding new revenue, while the other person's taking care of all that revenue they've got and actually getting it to profitability. That's one thing I've seen a lot with visionaries. Like, I sold it, yes, but is it profitable? And the profitability comes from all the integrator stuff. The selling it really comes down to the visionary usually.
I like to think of it as like setting it up and knocking it down. Look, I'm really good at this thing. I can get a lot of deals done. I need somebody to be implementing these for me. Execution. So the integrator is somebody you look for in your organization, and you may not have them. You may have to bring this from outside, but a lot of times you do, and you just didn't know you had it. That person is then basically optimizing and taking your vision and making it real.
Yep. Yeah, they're looking at it. They're excited by order, essentially, as the integrator. The
Yes.
visionary is excited by the opportunity and by growth, and that's what we've noticed. The visionary wants growth. Oh, I want it to grow. How do we get there faster? How do we get more? I sold X amount. And the integrator is like, how do we get profitability? How do we get this up? How do we make the whole company grow instead of blow itself up? I've seen some, you'll see it quite often in the construction space, has a lot of entrepreneurs where they'll have cash flow problems. I had all this, yeah, but the way that the cash flow is coming in, it didn't work out. So sometimes the integrator has to say, okay, can you stop killing animals right now? We can't harvest that one quite yet. So that's the approach, is really more around slowing it down a little bit so that you can actually make sure you're getting all the effort out of. Otherwise, you end up with the visionary will get really frustrated with the office and with all the people. Why can't they keep up? But it's kind of like matching that speed. And if you appreciate the strengths of them both, then you'll do really well.
I love that. You know, this may be a new concept for people, but if you think about it, this is actually a really common thing in some of the most successful businesses. What are some examples of a visionary integrator that you may not even have thought of before?
I think the big ones that I've heard of, Walt Disney, and he had his brother Roy. You see it, Bill Gates, and I'm trying to remember his name. Paul Allen.
Yep.
Right, you'll see some of these where they're like, somebody who loves the technology, he's a visionary, and then someone who will come in and take care of, there's hiring, there's HR, all that stuff is not fun to a visionary. So, yeah, those are the two that come to mind.
If you're Walt Disney, everybody knows Walt Disney. They know how visionary he was. He just saw the future, right? But if you actually knew about how Walt ran a business, it was kind of a disaster. Like everything was in flux all the time. Roy, his brother, was very sort of a boring personality to some people, right? Very much interested in the numbers and how to integrate things. Disney would not exist today if they did not have the Roy. We don't hear enough about the Roy. Walt was super important. He did things that nobody else could do, but he had to have the Roy. It's the combination that makes what's called rocket fuel, and that's actually where this whole concept came from. A book by Gino Wickman, we're big fans of his, Rocket Fuel. And this book actually gets into the details about how a visionary integrator system can work.
Yeah, and what you'll see is some of the things you'll know if you're a visionary and if your company is being run by a visionary is you'll see this whiplash. Hey, we were doing this, now we're jumping over here. I had a friend who was doing some retail stuff, and then he jumped over into landscaping, went and bought $100,000 worth of equipment. The people were just like, wait, what? I thought we were doing this warehouse and we were doing retail, and now all of a sudden we're doing landscape. Yeah, but I found this new way to make money. And what he found was it just blew up, and then he lost a lot of money in the deal because he didn't have that integrator and he didn't appreciate it. So, yeah, there's a lot of signs you can see if you're run by a visionary. They're really frustrated. They're not having fun. A lot of times the visionaries are the ones that are kind of tenacious enough to get it off and running, get the company up, but they hit that point where now you have too many people for them to...
They're not deliberate enough to grow it past a certain level or something.
Yeah, they can't keep it all in their head. Most of the visionaries, they got everything in their head. Yeah, I know how it all works. I can keep it there. And then once you hit a certain revenue point, it's not possible. There's too many people, too much coordination, and then it starts to break down, and then they just get more frustrated, and then this isn't even fun. You know, some of the people we've worked with are, my marriage is going to pot, my life is going to pot, I have to dedicate all my time to my business.
I don't even like my business anymore. That's a very common thing we hear with customers coming to us, right?
Yep. They don't like it, and that's a lot what we do. With JobNimbus, it's adding in that process stuff. It's really helping the person in the office to have the process, but also allowing the visionary then to say, here, if we tweak the process here, now we can get 2x the revenue, we can 2x the profitability, we can grow, and it really accelerates the growth when you start to get those pieces in place.
Yeah, I love it. Okay, so if you want your business to have rocket fuel, ask yourself whether you're a visionary or an integrator. And by the way, businesses need different levels of visionary integrator depending on how hard you're trying to go. If you're trying to be the biggest construction company in the metro area, you're going to need more visionary than if you're just trying to be really good in your local city or municipality. So pull together a team of a visionary integrator. Figure out which one you are, find your integrator visionary. Rocket Fuel is a great book to learn how to do that.
Well, and they actually talk about the test in there. There's a test in the book where you can go through. It kind of helps you feel yourself out. Sometimes it's hard to know, well, I feel like I can do both of these. But the book does have the tools to help you. No, you're more on this integrator. You're more on the visionary side. I'd say most of the people that we work with, most of these small companies, small to mid-sized companies, even in the US, they have to have a visionary. It's too much pain. It's too difficult for someone who's wants all this order, and there's just too much chaos. Where's the opportunity? You have to have a visionary. I don't think integrators start that many businesses because they're like, I want it all to work perfectly from the beginning. And visionaries are like, I can essentially create a new path up this mountain and find out how to do it. And then the integrator's like, okay, now I can optimize that. But that visionary person is trying to find where you can have the revenue, where you can have the sales.
Love it. All right, take the test. Learn, if you're a visionary integrator, find your counterpart and take your business to another level with Rocket Fuel. I'd love to hear comments below. Are you guys using Rocket Fuel? It's called the Entrepreneurial Operating System. I know a lot of people are really into this right now. It's actually a really cool system to run your business on. Who's using it? Are you having success with it? If you've never heard about it, go out and comment on what challenges you're having around being a visionary integrator.